Good afternoon, class. I hope everybody is able to hear me. Good afternoon, class. Good afternoon, class, once again. I hope everyone is able to hear me. Good afternoon, class, once again. I hope everyone is able to hear me. Right, finally, I am able to hear my voice. So that's great to hear. So, on that note, let me begin with today's class. Right, but first things first. So first things first, let me start with the introduction on what exactly the Unacademy stands for. That will help you get a better idea of what we are going to do over the next couple of months. So as you know, this is Unacademy's YouTube platform. So this is our channel, Crack Management Exams. So basically, this channel of ours, this will help you to crack CAT with it's India's largest online learning platform. This is so we are actually present. Unacademy is present across all entrance exams such as management, engineering, medical, bank PO, SSC, etc. All kinds of exams. In banking, I should say, it includes not just PO but the other exams as well. In addition, we are gonna now start with. We are also now among the leaders in management. So, brief profile of myself as well. I will share with you guys. This is my name, Aritro Dasgupta, and I have been with Unacademy for almost 4 months now, 3.5 months if I take my classes, wherein I have been conducting regular classes. Right, so I finished my MBA more than a decade back from the Indian Institute of Forest Management in Bhopal. Since then, I've been working, been a decade. So I specialized in the area of conservation and livelihoods there. In this more than a decade's experience, I worked in the areas of teaching, training, strategy consulting, executive recruitment, and in content writing. My work experience has mainly been in India, but I've also worked for a while in the Middle East and been published in the US. Last 5.5 years, I've been specifically engaged with the coaching segment, which is why rank holders to several nationally recognized exams such as CAT, CLAT, and DUJAT have been my students during this period. So what all you will receive from Unacademy, let me just show this to you. So this is our channel, as I told you, Crack Management Exams. We now have 960 plus candidates here, which you can see 960 plus followers. A little bit more will be into the thousands. So I do expect the 4-digit mark to be breached by the end of this weekend. So go ahead, guys, make us proud, make it 1,000 plus. This is our channel. So इसपे जो भी classes हुई है, you can go through all its recordings. Meanwhile, we also have full-length mocks and quizzes. In fact, one of those mocks is going to be this Sunday, which is the National Scholarship Test. So I would request all of you to thoroughly go through that particular thing. This is structured course content as well that we have. So this test that I was talking to you about quizzes, there are two kinds. One is from the head office, which includes the whole syllabus, like you have on this Sunday. The other is which we give you on the spot. So if you see the right hand side of your page, we have what we call the live chat window. तो उस पे मैं बहुत कुछ डालूंगा, क्वेश्चंस डालता रहूंगा, आप उसका जवाब दे सकते हैं. मीनवाइल द कोर्स सो आप लोग भी सवाल पूछ सकते हैं, मैं भी आपको क्विज ले सकता हूँ. यू ऑल्सो हैव अनलिमिटेड एक्सेस टू द क्लासेस. सो इसको आप कैसे करेंगे एक्सेस, मैं आप लोगों को समझा देता हूँ. द होल सिलेबस इज इंक्लूडेड हियर. सो वंस यू आर ऑन बोर्ड, you can go through all the sessions together. Right, this is a list of some of our top educators. You may take a look at their names and their followers and watch minutes, which is obviously extremely impressive, as you may very well notice. This is a list of those of our live classes, all the people who have taken live classes. You can see their names, right? So this way you can actually plan for your sessions. Right, I think this is pretty clear to you. This is how you receive notifications. This slide is just a sample of how you receive the notifications. Meanwhile, you can also form batches with trainers. In fact, I have just started with a plus class. Today I took my second class. I'm going to continue next week on the 28th of this month. So these are the classes. You can actually form a batch with one educator for one subject. That is an option. Like at the bottom of this page, you can see, or the other option is the entire syllabus can be studied, which includes several of the trainers. Like you can see on top, ये दोनों ऑप्शंस है आपके लिए. अभी 2020 का बैच तो चल ही रहा है, 2021 की भी बैचेस फॉर्म हो गई है, तो आप लोग उसमें भी ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं. This is the Unacademy advantage. Basically, there's a schedule that works for you, which you can apply. Of course, there is no language barrier. You may learn anytime, anywhere. We've always believed that language should not be a deterrent, rather, it should be a bridge between people, which is why we are present in so many different languages, 16 different languages to be precise. Right? You may interact anytime with your educator to get your doubts cleared, and of course, there are live polls as well, which you can answer. This live poll, I told you how it works on YouTube, but it works even better on unacademy.com. So, do attend my sessions on unacademy.com. I have a few sessions planned for next week, so it will be great to have you guys on board for those sessions. Right, you may also answer live polls here. And as I told you, there are full-length mocks which mimic the real exam. इस साल आपको मालूम होगा 3 घंटे की जगह 2 घंटे का पेपर होगा कैट में. तो ये जो भी आप मॉक देंगे उसका आपको डिटेल्ड रिपोर्ट एंड एनालिसिस भी प्राप्त होगा. And of course, there are detailed PDFs as well of these classes which you can download and go through later on. Today's class has a detailed PDF, so please download and study this in the future. Probably the most important slide, this one so far, because it highlights the various packages we have. So do go through this in detail so that you know which package will be ideal for you. So take half a minute. I would suggest all of you go through this. So take half a minute. I would suggest all of you go through this. आप पढ़िए इसको, फिर मैं कुछ I will speak a few things regarding this package. Right. I trust you have all gone through this. So one thing you will certainly notice that if you look at the two sides on the left-hand side, both of these sides are exactly the same. It's just about the emphasis. On the left side is for the 1 year course. The right side is for the 2 year program. So you will very well notice that the 1 year programs are much more. Both 1 year and 2 year are better than the short-term programs in terms of the value for money. The 1 month, 3 months, 6 months courses, you end up paying a lot more, right? Also, please use my code. I think this is what many of you were waiting for. Use this code 8009, you will receive a flat 10% off. Right. So on that note, I'm gonna start with the content for today's class. Hope you guys are ready, and I think you guys already know the agenda of today's class. Today I'm gonna complete the August current affairs. There are, as you know, 3 classes planned per month. Um, three classes not per month, as in for every month, I should say. So I've already covered Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, and July. 7 months I've covered 21 sessions, and I've also done the first and second sessions of August. This is the third and final session with which I close this off. Right. So let's take a look at this thing. So the topic is August current affairs. It's a third class, that's why I've mentioned three. I hope you guys are all ready. So then I will begin in earnest. Okay, so Apple actually became the first publicly listed US company with a $2 trillion stock market value. Apple, as you know, one of the big tech companies in the world, the big five, which are together called the GAFA. There's this category called GAFA, which stands for Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple. Apple is making a lot of money, albeit it is not doing very well in terms of its innovation power. But it is a company which is constantly on the rise. So that is pretty much it. You can see from the stock trade of it. Tim Cook, I think you know, is CEO. He's an American, and he was number two while Steve Jobs was in charge. Now, of course, with Steve Jobs long having left, and of course, even having passed away, Tim Cook is pretty much running the show. Tim Cook, however, is known more as an operational person, somebody who can end up with Apple earning a lot of money. He's, however, not considered an innovator. So, in terms of innovation, Apple has slightly fallen off in the last decade. It's in fact a very similar situation to where Microsoft was, say, a decade back. In the 90s, Microsoft was the company. But 2000s, after Bill Gates stepped down and Steve Ballmer became the CEO, Microsoft continued to make a lot of money, but it was primarily leveraging its old value assets. In terms of the new things which came up in the 2000s, such as the smartphone technology, Microsoft wasn't really anywhere there. Now, since Satya Nadella has come up, Microsoft is once again doing a lot of innovative things. And what are the most innovative things in the second half of the last decade and the start of this decade? It is robotics, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, virtual reality, augmented reality. So, in all of these areas, um, Microsoft is now doing pretty well, although Apple we see is more or less missing. Nowadays, its innovations are very incremental. For an iPhone 6, you have an iPhone 7, an iPhone 8, but you don't have a different product. Back in the day, the iPhone was an absolute revolution. It changed the way we perceived smartphones. In fact, many people say that the iPhone actually disrupted the iPod forever. And so he was sometime asked that why are you cannibalizing your own product? The iPod has been such a success. The iPhone can do everything the iPod can do, and in addition also make calls. So why did you go for it? So he said that if I do not disrupt my own baby, somebody else will, because am the in the best position. I know my baby the best, its flaws, its weaknesses, and also its strengths. So that is why nowadays we do not see Apple making such innovative this thing. Google, Facebook, Amazon, these guys have stolen a march, and of course, Microsoft, as I said, is making a massive comeback. Okay, couple more things. An Indian woman has been given a very prestigious award. It's actually an Indian award, but nonetheless, still a matter of some amount of prestige, no doubt, for Indians. So this is, as we say, the Best Emerging Woman Entrepreneur Award. It's been given to Dr. Sneha Rakesh. She's the entrepreneur of the. This award has been given by the Business Mint. And who is she? Let's understand. It's actually a tech company called Akarmaksh Technology, and she is the MD and CEO of that company. The founder, the MD, and the CEO. So many kudos to her. Not so well known, among the entrepreneurs. She's not as well known as several of the other names, but definitely somebody we ought to know of, considering she won such a big award. Okay, now we have this award known as the Joel Hildebrand Award, Joel Henry Hildebrand Award. So let's see what about it. It's an award mainly for physics and chemistry, and it's named after an American chemist and educator. It's actually called chemical physics or physical chemistry. That's what he was, physical chemistry actually, which is where he was a major proponent. His name is Joel Henry Hildebrand. Hildebrand, a German origin surname. I remember there was a German goalkeeper, Timo Hildebrand, was considered once a successor to Oliver Kahn. That never happened. Germany ended up producing, uh, with due respect, much better goalkeepers. But yes, for a while he did seem. US, is a country of immigrants, so pretty much this bears that out. It's an award sponsored by an American company, major American energy or company, ExxonMobil Research and Engineering. So they have a research and engineering wing, which basically looks after this particular aspect. Right. So this year, an Indian origin person is a winner. He is Professor Biman Bakchi, who's an honorary professor. Honorary ka matlab hai he's not a full-time professor because he's a resident of the US, but he does occasionally visit for classes. He's like a figurehead often seen for the IISc, which is the Indian Institute of Science, located in Bengaluru. So he's an honorary professor of this place. He has won this particular award, the Joel Henry Award, in 2000 for the 2021. Although it's 2020, but they award earlier. This is part of the theoretical and experimental chemistry of liquids. That is the thing that he studied in. His research has been duly considered as landmark and revolutionary. So you know the format. Whenever there are standalone topics, that's how I introduce, and whenever it's miscellaneous content, so I start with August current affairs as a headline. So there it goes, August current affairs once again. So some more points on this. Please take a look. So I think we've spoken about Soumya Swaminathan many times. In fact, earlier today I was doing May current affairs in one of the plus classes. तो उसमें भी हमारी बात हुई थी about her. So she has been conferred with the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister's Special Award in recognition for her advisory role in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. She's an Indian origin person, but she's also originally from the state of Tamil Nadu. So that is why the government of that state honoring her separately. Shri E. Palaniswamy is the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. He is from the party AIADMK. Has been Chief Minister since I think late 2016 or early 2017. I think from 2017. Jayalalitha was voted as the Chief Minister, but she passed away 6 months later. So after her, Mr. Paneer Selvam, he was the caretaker Chief Minister for a few months, and then Mr. Palaniswamy took over. In fact, he has been conferred as the CM face for the 2021 elections. Next year, Tamil Nadu goes to the polls. Shri Rajiv Kumar, he has been appointed as the new election commissioner. Now that, in fact, yesterday's class itself, I was discussing this with you guys. Mr. Ashok Lavasa, who was the election commissioner. So there's a difference between chief election commissioner and the election commissioner. Chief election is the one on top, election commissioner is the second highest position. So he held that post, but he's now fled to the ADB, Asian Development Bank, and instead Mr. Rajiv Kumar has been appointed as the new election commissioner. Right, couple more things here. So SBI has actually seen quite a few new appointments. Let's take a look. Please do not confuse between Rajneesh Kumar and Rajiv Kumar, right? So Rajneesh Kumar was with the SBI, of course. So Ashwini Bhatia has been appointed as the new managing director of the SBI. That's again one of the highest positions, the second highest position, in fact. So he replaces Sri P.K. Gupta, who was in this position until recently. There has also been an appointment in the chairperson, that is Sri Dinesh Kumar Khara. That is the top post. So he has replaced Mr. Rajneesh Kumar, who has been in charge since 2017. So Miss Anuradha Bhattacharya was supposed to retire in 2015, but she got a 2-year extension because she was considered such a legendary banker. Her term got over finally in 2017, her extended term, I should say, and since then Rajneesh Kumar has been in charge. Now his term gets over. So now for the next couple of years, in fact, Dinesh Khara was a contender in 2017 as well for the top post. He was overlooked at that time. Now, good for him. He does get the nod from the BBB. It's the BBB which appoints the head of SBI, since it's a public sector company, public sector undertaking. So the decision is not taken by the company alone, but by a board which is constituted by the government and the RBI. Right. So some more of the miscellaneous content. What is the BBB? I've informed you. That's the Bank Board Bureau. Meanwhile, that's why I love current affairs classes. We flip topics so much from Indian banking straight to Japan. So Shinzo Abe, I think all of you are aware, his party remains in power, but he has resigned from the post of the Prime Minister of Japan because of certain health concerns. So he has now been succeeded by Mr. Yoshihide Suga, who was always a trusted aide of Shinzo Abe. Meanwhile, in the state of Kerala, again now back to India, the India's first ever WTC or Women's Trade Center will be set up in consonance with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), as they are known as. So, right. Right, couple of things here. Just wanted to correct the small letters. I think that doesn't look good. Good to make corrections on the spot. Otherwise, these errors linger on forever for the later batches as well. So I saw quite a few of them. So I thought it's better I make the changes now itself. What do you say? Do you guys agree with me that these kind of changes should be made immediately? That's what I personally think so. Anyway, moving further on to more of August current affairs. Let's see. Okay, now researchers at one of the IITs, which is the IIT Madras, they have confirmed that they have discovered a new material to split hydrogen and water using solar power. That's really something revolutionary. So taking out hydrogen from water, this is something which can be used a lot in energy generation, because nowadays, in fact, yesterday itself we were discussing how hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, and hydrogen can actually be used to run a lot of energy that is much less energy guzzling than those that use carbon, for instance. So this is something which can prove to be fairly revolutionary. Now, this research is expected to bring the conversion and storage part in a single system, which would reduce the cost per kilowatt hours of solar energy. Meanwhile, in the south of India, not the southern India, but south of India, in the country of Sri Lanka, our neighboring country, the 19th Amendment is said to be replaced by the 20th Amendment, which is pretty controversial. It seeks to reduce the powers of some of the other government bodies but increase the powers of the Prime Minister. That is something which has come under a lot of scrutiny worldwide, including their neighbors, India. India is a little confused about the timing of this whole thing. When the party has won such a massive majority, what is the need for some such sweeping changes right now? Now, there is this award I wish to talk to you guys about. So, I think you guys have heard of this person. Have you guys heard of Tenzing Norgay? I want to ask you guys, forget the award. Just tell me who this person is. In case you guys can tell me, I'm going to give you about a minute, exactly a minute I will give you. Let's see whether you can answer this question. Giving you a minute. Let's see if you can answer this question. I think there was a Zoom meeting as well of Unacademy, so I'll just check that out. Let's see what answers you guys have provided. Okay, so let me tell you, Tenzing Norgay was actually okay. So this award is named after Tenzing Norgay, who was the legendary Nepalese Sherpa, who, along with Sir Edmund Hillary from New Zealand, they were the first to scale the Mount Everest, the world's highest peak, sometime in the I really can't recall the year, but I think it was sometime in the 1950s or maybe 60s, not more later than that. That is when these two made history. In fact, the two of them had a pact that they will never reveal who was actually the first person to reveal, so that dono ke naam ek saath rahe. So they were actually together because obviously while climbing, one of them does need to climb up the first. So this is something which they decided not to reveal ever. So he was a national from Nepal, but India has named one its highest award on Tenzing Norgay. This award is actually sponsored by the government of India, and it's the highest adventure sports honor from India. So just like we have Khel Ratna, which is for the conventional sports, for adventure sports, this one is pretty much up there. Right. So there are seven recipients for 2019, which is the latest. 19 का award 20 में मिलता है, 20 का award 21 में मिलेगा. So there are seven recipients. One of them is for lifetime achievement. So let's take a look who they are. And all of the winners are from different categories, and some of them from different sports as well. There are different categories, as you might as well understand. So let's take a look at the seven winners. Okay, so for land adventure, it's Miss Anita Devi. There are four recipients of land adventure, one for air, one for water, and one, as I told you, is lifetime achievement. So one of the winners, the only woman among the seven, is Anita Devi, who's in from mountaineering. In fact, all the land adventure winners are proponents of mountaineering. The other three, all of them male, they are Taka Tamut, Sarfraz Singh, and Mr. Keval Hiren Kakka. They are the four people in total who are winners. You may take down the names, please. लिख लो नाम, that will be easier for you. Right, you've seen the names. Now look at the names for those in adventure sports. Please take a look. So for air adventure, you have Mr. Gajanand Yadav, who's into skydiving. For lifetime achievement, it's Magan Bissa, who's also from mountaineering, and also from land sports basically. And then there is water adventure winner, that is Mr. Satendra Singh Loya, who's into open water swimming. So open water matlab samundar mein rather than ya nadi mein, rather than into swimming pools like the sport swimming qualifies for. Right, let's go ahead further. Few more points on the August current affairs. Now, the government of India has activated the authentication of GST, the Aadhaar card authentication for GST registration to enhance ease of doing business. Ease of doing business, one of the key concerns of the government, so that we can attract more and more investment from abroad and within the country as well, from the business community. For those opting for Aadhaar identification, the new GST registration will be issued within 3 working days and will not need to wait for physical verification. This is to ensure increased amount of digitization and decrease the social interaction, so that we can have more of social distancing, which is the need of the hour. As you know, this is August, so pretty much the pandemic is still on. Okay, so India's largest commodity exchange, which is the MCX, or the Multi Commodity Exchange of India Limited, it launched India's first bullion index called the Bulldex, which is, as the name suggests, will look into all the bullion stocks. Bullion is basically uh, which is obviously into uh, commodities of bullion. Right, some more of the miscellaneous content. Let's take a look. The longest ropeway in India has just been inaugurated. This is in the state of Assam, and it's across the Brahmaputra River. Brahmaputra, I think I've already told you when I conducted that geography session. Brahmaputra is India's largest river with a maximum amount of water. There are spots where it is really, really wide, and that is why a ropeway is an ideal solution, in order to cross over to the other point. So it is at 1.8 kilometers long, which is within the city of Guwahati itself, which is the biggest city in Assam. Right, India's longest ropeway. This is. I think Assam every year more or less gets inundated by flooding. This year too, flooding was a really important part, and sadly that happened. So maybe these are a couple of steps that will allow people to travel even during the worst of crisis. Right. So Dr. Satish Reddy, he has received a 2-year extension to his term as the chief of DRDO. He's the chief of DRDO, so got another 2-year extension. DRDO basically does research for all the defense equipment. They don't do mass manufacturing. You can say their relation with HAL is a lot like Oxford University and AstraZeneca right now. Oxford University did the first development, but AstraZeneca will do the mass production of the possible COVID-19 vaccine. Similarly, DRDO does the first development, then it is other players such as the HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, who do the mass production. The DRDO stands for Defense Research and Development Organization. Right, just like in the other classes we've had so far, I want to discuss with you about one of the ministries. And in today's class, I'm going to discuss with you the MSJE. What is the MSJE? M obviously stands for ministry. Can you think what are the other three letters? Because the ministries also have short forms. Right, not much participation today. That's really disappointing. I was hoping for some good responses. But anyway, all those who have guessed right, congratulations to them. MSGE stands for Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. It is headed by the Union Cabinet Minister Shri Thawar Chand Gehlot. Mr. Gehlot, he's always been a leader from Madhya Pradesh, so he is BJP MP. MP is in Member of Parliament from Madhya Pradesh state, but in the Rajya Sabha. He has formerly been a member of the Lok Sabha as well, but right now he is in the Rajya Sabha. So he will now head the newly constituted National Council for Transgender Persons. Transgender, obviously, among the people who have often been discriminated, but now there's a requirement. That's the purpose of this ministry basically. People who require social justice, who require empowerment, who have historically been weaker compared to the others. So this includes the caste groups as well, the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, other backward classes. Women were part of this, but later on, women and child development, a separate ministry was set up. Even the minorities, religious minorities, were part of it, but now you have a separate one for them as well, which is the Ministry of Minority Affairs. Um, so that is pretty much it. This is the National Council for Transgender Persons. So this was required under this new law, which was passed in 2019, which is the Transgender Persons Act 2019. Right? I'll just make a spelling correction. This newly thing looks rather not so good. Right. Let's move on to the next slide, the August current affairs. But before I continue, I would like to shift there because it's a little more comfortable, and also because now it's enough of charging, so I can remove the charging. Also, you can see the Unacademy logo better. That's always an important part of our classes. Right. Trust everyone has is still there. Right. Right. I can see it's all working out. Right, so let's start. The World Health Organization has declared Africa, rather. I don't know why there is this thing, must be some silly error, but it's actually Africa. My apologies for this. Right, so this is a massive achievement. The continent of Africa has long been has never been spared from these diseases. It's like we are putting so much of focus nowadays on COVID-19, but we should not forget the traditional killers. So things like polio have been mass killers, especially in the tropical countries. So definitely, some we cannot loosen our guard against these kind of diseases either. But massive relief this is with Africa. This is something which really makes us proud. Any developing country should feel proud that even Africa can. India has also long been clear of polio. We were among the first countries to be completely polio free. In fact, I was watching one of the videos of one of the experts, and he had to visit Pakistan for something purpose, and he was asked to take a polio vaccination. He was shocked. I mean, polio, India has been free for a long time, but not Pakistan, our immediate neighbors. Okay, meanwhile, the ICICI Bank has announced the introduction of usage of satellite data, which is for a certain purpose. It's for imagery from Earth observation satellites to assess credit worthiness of the customers belonging to the farm sector. So anybody who this can actually have massive repercussions. This might seem a little unethical as well. So whoever does go for this is only for farm sector because camera से मेरा घर देख के ज़्यादा पता नहीं चलेगा अंदर क्या है. But farms may you can actually assess if somebody says that I have X amount of land, so many hectares of arable land, so that can actually be checked through satellite. So this might have a lot of privacy concerns. So I think the Supreme Court and the other courts will need to study this case. But at this point, it does seem like a great tool. If used rightly, this is a massive, wonderful tool. And I'm sure ICICI is such a massive brand, they will take all care. But just a matter of caution. Maybe we should just ensure all is right. Right, little bit more into the August current affairs. Logo does not seem visible. I don't know how. Morning it was very well visible on in this post, but anyway. So Astrosat is India's first multi-wavelength satellite, and it has detected an extreme ultraviolet light from a galaxy which is 9.3 billion light years away from the Earth. So you can imagine how far, if a vehicle would travel at the speed of light, then we would reach this particular galaxy after 9.3 billion years. So all this just puts things into context that we are just a small species in a small planet, so that is something that does put quite a bit. Anyway, now I can see my logo very well. Does make me feel does make it look much better, the session. Right, Kenya, meanwhile, moving on from space research to countries on the earth. So Kenya has become the first country in the world to be awarded the recommended status for the safer tourism resilience seal by the global body Rebuilding Travels. Right, this is basically to ensure that once tourism does restart, which I think baby steps are being taken to revive tourism in countries like Kenya, which are highly dependent on tourism, that all the sanitary steps are taken so that the COVID-19 concerns do not hamper tourism. So this indicator will definitely boost Kenya's uh, you know position in this. So now I want to talk about another standalone topic. So that is the MSO, which is not a ministry. Usually, when I have topics beginning with an M, the general assumption is that it would be of some ministry. But in this case, it is not ministry. In fact, it's Mind Sports Olympiad. I can see my mobile phone blinking. Maybe it has got the charge. No. I'm not sure why it was blinking, but anyway. So the Mind Sports Olympiad, which is held almost every year, it was first held back in 1997 in London, in the United Kingdom, and during this period, it has been held in different venues. But this year, for the first time ever, it was held completely digital, right? So for the first time ever, a completely digital event. The purpose was to test mental skills and power. In 2020, this I've already told you. So mind sports समझ ही आ रहा है आपको mental skills and mental power test करने के लिए. I think वो तो काफी obvious बात है. Now, who's the winner this year? It's an Indian. He's won a gold medal. His name is Mr. Neelkant Bhanu Prasad. Won the first gold medal for India at the Mental Calculation World Championship at Mind Sports Olympiad. Right? Okay, now I want to discuss about something which is known as EPI. This is an Indian index. We've done quite a few international indexes. This one is a purely Indian index. So let us understand this better. EPI stands for Export Preparedness Index. So this is not about how much export you're doing, how many goods you're sending abroad. It is not about that. It is about the how well prepared the infrastructure is among the states of India to assess if tomorrow there is international trade, which obviously there is around the clock, then which state will be in the best position to take advantage of this. So we are looking at infrastructure, and obviously goes without saying, states that have a coastal network, they tend to do much better. Among the top 10, it's dominated by states that have a coastline. So if we look at the states of India, Gujarat and Maharashtra definitely, but also the southern states, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Goa, Maharashtra, um, Andhra Pradesh, these do have a lot of coastline and are among the most export oriented states of India. Also, to quite an extent, West Bengal and Odisha as well. Um, so let's look at their rankings. So prepared by the Niti Aayog nonetheless. So obviously that is a major think tank, and we can understand that their recommendations will be critical. Gujarat finds itself overall at rank 1. I guess not a surprise because Gujarat has a really prosperous coastline and very good infrastructure. Now, one thing I had told you when I was doing geography a couple of days back is that gulfs are ideal for trade purpose. And Gujarat is blessed with not with one but two of India's three most important gulfs. There's one in Tamil Nadu, one bordering Maharashtra and Gujarat, and the other is fully in Gujarat, which is the Gulf of Kutch. The other is the Gulf of Khambat, which borders Maharashtra towards Mumbai actually. So gulfs are ideal for trading because they have enough water but not too much water. Among landlocked states, I told you that states which have access to the waters, they have an advantage. So that's why there should be a separate category for those which are landlocked and surrounded by land on all four sides. So Rajasthan is number one. Again, Rajasthan has a massive international boundary with Pakistan that might help to some extent, although I'm not sure. Pakistan is not a very important trading partner for India, although we have been trading on some essential commodities, but not too much. So I don't know how much that is going to help. Uttarakhand has done best among the hill states. Uttarakhand too has an international boundary, although it's very remote. So unlikely that much of international trade takes place, even at the best of times. Even when we had better relations with China, I doubt much could be done. But Uttarakhand has done the best among the hill states. It has a lot of SEZs. We've seen, I think, the Udham Singh Nagar area. And Delhi, I think, no surprise, has topped for all the union territories. I am sure there would be little competition in this category. Right. The next topic I'm going to talk to you about is one of my favorites, which is into literature, into books, because I'm somebody who's always been very fond of reading books. तो मेरे लिए आइडियल टॉपिक है ये. Okay, now the Booker Prize for fiction. I wanted to understand this thing. I want to explain to you rather what is this thing. Booker Prize for fiction क्या चीज है? So this is actually one of the most prestigious awards when it comes to books and literature. For writers, winning the Booker Prize is like the ultimate. You reach the zenith of your career from this. And of course, financially also, you start doing extremely well after winning a Booker Prize. So the next couple of slides, I'm going to discuss with you the Booker Prize. Started in 1969, so it has completed exactly 5 decades now, 50 years. Awarded by the United Kingdom. In fact, often the Booker Prize is, you could say, criticized by some quarters as being a legacy of the British Empire. Maybe a positive legacy. This one is. It's also one of the most prestigious literary prizes worldwide. Uh, yeah. Till 2013. Now, this is interesting. Till 2013, the winners were restricted to only Commonwealth members. Ireland is not a Commonwealth member, although it was a former British colony. So, only British colonies. So, that left out USA. USA was never a member of the Commonwealth. Sorry. But since 2014, it has been opened up to any book written in the English language. So, it doesn't matter which country you are from. Even if you're, so that actually opened it up to Americans. And in fact, since 2014, a lot of the winners have been, or at least some of the winners have been from the United States of America. Okay, some more points on the Booker Prize for fiction. In 1993, if I look at the years, 1969 is when it was started. So in 1993, roughly when 25 years were completed, I guess 25 years is called a silver jubilee, although I sometimes mix up these terms. So that particular year, Salman Rushdie's book, which is Midnight's Children, was voted. So Salman Rushdie won this in 1981, and his book Midnight's Children was awarded as the Booker of the Booker. So the best Booker among 25 years of Booker winners, each of them sensational books in their own right, but among them the best of the lot. So Salman Rushdie often considered the inventor of a category which is known as magic realism. So basically, you show real things through the use of magical characters. The South American writer Gabriel Garcia Marquez was another key proponent of this style. So he was voted by a special jury constituted as the Booker of the Bookers to mark the 25th anniversary. So Salman Rushdie is not an Indian citizen, so we do not consider him among the Indian winners of this award. This year, another American citizen but of Indian origin has been nominated. She has been shortlisted, and she's actually a debutante. Her name is Avni Doshi. She's only 38 years old. This was her first book. The name of her book is Burnt Sugar, for which she has been nominated. Right? So that is rather interesting. Somebody of Indian origin coming so close to such awards. This has not yet been announced, so who knows? She might end up winning it as well. Now, others with Indian connections but not citizenship have been awarded winners in the past. As I told you, Salman Rushdie, also V.S. Naipaul, who is from Trinidad and Tobago, citizen of the United Kingdom but an ethnic Indian. You know, the West Indies region has a lot of people of Indian origin. Also, Ruth Prawar Jhabwala, if I'm not correct, she probably married an Indian, but I'm not fully sure. She was also a screenwriter, wrote the script to several movies as well. Did Ruth Prawar Jhabwala. Right. So this is actually the names of the winners, Indians who have won this award, and I have been very conscious to state that they are Indian citizens, so that again I repeat, you do not be confused with these people who are not Indian citizens. I often see in lists that Salman Rushdie's name is mentioned, but he's not an Indian citizen, so I don't think we can take credit for that. Although we can take credit in the sense that ethnic Indian, but not official in this sense. Okay, so who are the book winners? The first ever Indian to win was Arundhati Roy. I hope you like the color coding. मैंने चार कॉलम्स के चार कलर्स डाले हैं. So anyway, Arundhati Roy, मैंने बहुत ध्यान से ये पीपीटी बनाया. So I really hope you appreciate the creativity. Arundhati Roy was the first Indian to win it in the year 1997. It's known as the God of Small Things. She has written one or two books after that as well, although not that prolific has she been a writer. So, God of Small Things, written in 1997, published that year. These awards are given for that year itself. So, obviously, the year she wins it, that year itself, the book was released. Kiran Desai, who's actually the daughter of another writer, her mother is Anita Desai, who was also a prolific writer and a well known writer. The name of the book is Inheritance of Loss. I have read both these books, the first and the second. This was in 2006. I have, however, not read the third book. I do plan to read this very soon. That's The White Tiger, written by Sri Arvind Adiga in the year 2008. Okay, now there is a related award which was constituted, I think, in 2004, if I'm not wrong. One of the slides will show this. So this is, as I said, Booker Prize is only for those written in the English language. Initially, it was for the Commonwealth, now for all over the world. But ultimately, it's for the English language only. This award, however, is for any language apart from English. So basically, you can be from any language group, but not English. It's a translated work. So obviously, the translation, quality of translation also matters. The same book could have multiple translations. So that is why here we are only looking at one official translator, and whoever that is also gets the award. So if you are the writer in German, let's say, your English translator will also get the award will be shared by the two of you, right? Because obviously translation is critical, right? Moving on, so this is also awarded by the United Kingdom, just like the Booker Prize. Inception in 2004. Since then, it's been on board. As I said, written and translated from any language besides English. The writer and the main translator both are awarded. Who is the winner this year? Let's take a look at the winner. I'll also give you the name of the translator. So the 2020 winner is Miss Marieke Lucas Rinefeld from the Netherlands. J is pronounced as Y in Dutch, V is pronounced as F. That's why Marieke Lucas Rinefeld from the Netherlands. For her work, The Discomfort of Evening. Mm, and in fact, you can also note down the translator, whose name is Michelle Hutchison, who's from the United Kingdom. She was the key translator. Right. So as I said, both of them have been awarded. Just to remind you guys, this is my code. We are entering the end of the month. So if you guys do want to enroll, do go for it now. It will be pretty attractive. So this is AD09, that's the code. So please use this, and then you could get a flat 10% off. You will get a flat 10% off. So do make maximum use of this thing. I also have my Telegram channel. I will add you guys to that as well. Okay, so Michelle Hutchinson, I've already informed you. Let's go through the last couple of slides now. I want to discuss about the world's richest person, and I think most of you would be aware whom that category goes to. That is pretty much Jeff Bezos from the USA. He has held this title for some time now. As per the Bloomberg Real Time Billionaires Index, he's the founder and the owner of Amazon, which is based in Seattle, Washington State. In fact, very recently he became the first ever $200 billion billionaire, right? Um, So real time billionaires index का क्या मतलब है? Basically, it measures on a real time value. There are other indexes as well, such as Forbes, which is also highly respected. But then Forbes comes up with an annual this thing. So the Bloomberg one is pretty easy because it tracks on a daily, regular, hourly basis almost. So that's how it is. In fact, he had earlier become the world's richest man for a couple of hours because of the fluctuations in the stock market before he was duly overtaken once again by Bill Gates. But now he's once again, now he has been number one. That was, of course, for a short term period. Now it is a much more long term thing. Okay, the August current affairs, I'll continue. This one is actually the last slide before I do the important days and dates of the month. I think by now you guys would be familiar with my format. Every month, in the third and the final class, the last couple of slides, I take you through the important days and dates of the month, especially those which were not yet covered by then. Right. So India and Russia have been announced as joint winners of this chess Olympiad, which is known as the FIDE Chess Olympiad. FIDE is the regulatory body for chess. Right? It's actually something in French, which is why it does not directly elongate. Its headquarters are in Lausanne, Switzerland. Lausanne, Switzerland, as you know, is home to several international organizations. A lot of sports bodies are based in here. And Lausanne actually belongs to the French-speaking region of Switzerland. There's no language called Swiss. Switzerland is, in fact, has three different languages. I mean, mainly three. So German is spoken by about 65% of the population, French by about 25%, Italian by about a tenth. There's also a very small language called Romansh, which is spoken by barely 1%. That's one of the official languages, but not much spoken nowadays. English is often the lingua franca, the link language between a German speaker and a French speaker and an Italian speaker, and vice versa, right? So Lausanne lies on the French side, just like Geneva. Lugano lies on the Italian side, on the Sion as well on the French side, as is Basel. On the German side, you have Zurich, Bern, Neuchâtel. Those are some of the important cities in Switzerland or Switzerland. Swiss in French and Schweizerland in German. Right. There is an Indian spy during the World War II. Her name was Noor Inayat Khan, World War II spy from Great Britain. She became the first Indian origin woman who was honored with a memorial blue plaque at her former family home in central London. French by about 25%, Italian by right. Let's continue our topic. As I told you, this was the last slide, and after this, I will be going through the important days and dates for the month of August. So, without any further delay, let us start the same. Okay. First of all, 6th of August is considered Hiroshima Day. What happened on this day is, I think you are very well aware. You can pretty well take a guess. World War II may have ended in Europe on 7th May, but in Asia it lingered on for another couple of months. You know, most of us, we only see one side of the story. While it is massively condemnable what happened to Hiroshima, let us understand that Japan was also refusing to surrender. By now, Germany had lost, Italy had long lost, Japan was still not surrendering. So the United States and Great Britain, they were bombing Japan mercilessly for several months, heavy bombing. But Japan was like, we'll fight till the last man, even if the last man is armed with merely a knife. So the only way to end the war would have been a mass landfall on Japan, which is an island nation. So it would have been so complex, maybe another million Allied soldiers would have died, and perhaps a few more million Japanese soldiers and civilians. So this nuclear bomb might have been the cruelest thing in human history, but crudely speaking, it may have ended up saving a lot of lives. Then and also after that, because nowadays wars are often averted because the high cost of it. You know, say 500 years back, every now and then there were wars between neighboring kingdoms, but that reduced a lot because now the cost of war is very high. So the moment you think of nuclear weapons, you basically stay away from a war because you know the cost of war will be very high. So yeah, that's pretty much Hiroshima Day. 9th August is Nagasaki Day. Nagasaki, the other Japanese city which was hit back then. From such a depressing topic to a much more pleasant topic, International Beer Day on 7th of August for all lovers of beer, which is one of the best known alcohols in the world, probably the world's, I'm not really sure, but I think the world's most drunk alcoholic beverage and the world's fourth most drunk liquid after water, tea, and coffee. That is my understanding. Let me give you a quiz. Do you know which country in the world has the largest beer consumption per capita? I'm not saying overall consumption. Overall consumption also matters, the population, the wealth, prosperity of the country. But I'm asking you per capita maximum consumption. You will perhaps be surprised. You may not have thought of this country. The country with the world's largest per capita beer consumption. Let me write that to you guys. It's a country from Central Europe. That's the best hint I can give. Have you heard of this country, Czech Republic? It's actually now called Czechia. Czech Republic, highest per capita beer consumption in the world. Right? The overall consumption, I'm sure it's US, although I don't have exact figures. Okay, the 9th of August is Quit India Movement Day. On that day, in 1942, the Quit India Movement was launched. It was led by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who went on to become India's first Prime Minister. 9th of August is also a very important day in the sense that it is the day of the world's indigenous people. Who are the indigenous people? Indigenous people are the local people, the tribals, Adivasis. In many cases, we have seen they have been mistreated, not given equal rights, such as the Aborigines in Australia or the Native Americans in the US. Canada has done slightly better with their First Nations, that's the term they use. New Zealand, probably the best performer in this area. In New Zealand, they are known as the Maoris, and yeah, and indeed they have pretty good rights. In fact, very good example is the rugby team, which before every game plays out the Maori Haka dance, which is a war dance of the Maoris. And the national anthem of New Zealand is divided. 50% is in English, 50% is in one of the important Maori tongues. 12th of August is International Youth Day, dedicated to young people. I'm sure most of whom watching this session do fall in under that category. 15th of August is Independence Day of India, as you all know, but we are also sharing our independence with Bahrain, where the British quit in 1971. Also, with two countries 2 years prior to us, South and North Korea. In fact, this is the only public festival that these two Koreas celebrate on the same day and almost together. So, South and North Korea. 1945, 15th August is when Japan surrendered to the Allies. They surrendered, they signed their surrender document to the Americans, and by default, all the Japanese colonies won their independence, including the Koreas. So that is why we share our Independence Day. 15th of August is also the Victory Day in Asia. This is the Second World War ending. So a lot of significance to the 15th of August. 14th August, you know, is the birthday of Pakistan. Actually, both these countries got their independence at the in midnight, as you know, the famous speech by our first Prime Minister at 12 p.m. So 14th August celebrated by Pakistan, 15th August by India. Okay, now 19th of August is World Photography Day. Again, something which is rather exciting. Photography, I think now is even more important than ever because of Instagram, because of Facebook and social media. We're constantly clicking pics. But probably even more important, on the same day is World Humanitarian Day, a day to celebrate humanity and all the different sufferers of humanitarian crises worldwide. The next day, 20th August, is Sadbhavna Divas, the day that Rajiv Gandhi passed away, the former Prime Minister of India, in the year 1991. He died during campaign somewhere in, I think, in Tamil Nadu, died in the hands of LTTE activists. 20th August also is World Mosquito Day. This might seem funny to many of you, but it's not funny at all. You know, mosquitoes are amongst the most dangerous animals on earth. The number of people who die every year thanks to them would easily cross millions. Diseases such as malaria are such mass killers. So, this is a day when we look into all the troubles we've had because of them and what are the ways we can actually rid the planet to a large extent of them. And I can't think of many uses that they have. Their pests basically. So that is what this day looks into. 23rd of August is International Day of Remembrance of the slave trade and its abolition. Slave trade was for thousands of years one of the great killers of humanity in Africa. I'll just reduce the speed of the fan. Give me a moment, please. Yeah, thanks. So it's getting a little cold, you know. Just waiting for the Unacademy jacket, you know, that'll make things better. Anyway, so yeah, slave trade was for thousands of years a massive problem, especially from Africa. The Arabs were the first people who colonized not in that sense, but they would carry slaves. And the funny thing is, the slave trade of Africa would not have taken place had it not been for cooperation of Africans themselves, because the African tribes used to fight each other, and they did not have a concept of this Pan-Africanism, and then they would sell slaves of their enemies to the Arabs, who would then take them to Arab countries and to other places, such as even in India, there was a large trade of Ethiopian slaves. Lots of Ethiopian slaves did arrive in India at various stages. Many of them did not survive. I mean, they did survive, but their children did not, because they were castrated by and large. So that was the reason. Um, On the other hand, in the Americas, it was, while this was a big thing for thousands of years, but in the Americas, it became a far bigger thing because lots and lots of slaves, millions of slaves were sold for hundreds of years, beginning sometime in the 16th century all the way till the 19th century. The slave trade continued. 1807 is the year when the Great Britain, 1807 is when Great Britain, which was then the biggest naval power in the world, outlawed the slave trade. 1833, Britain outlawed slavery itself. So, in all the British colonies, while in 1807 slave trade of there, which is fresh slaves coming in from Africa, that got banned. 1833 slavery itself, and not just they ban themselves. Britain, which was actually the biggest slaver in most of the 18th century, went complete opposite in the 19th century. The Royal Navy would actually fight headlong to capture ships and to ensure that slavery did not take place, almost bringing the economy of southern USA to its knees at times. And then, of course, in America, we had this horrible civil war which lasted 4 years in the 1860s. So, all of that coinciding around slave trade. Brazil was among the last countries of the Americas to abolish sometime in the 1890s. Has slavery ended today? Not at all. There are millions of people even now who are sufferers of slavery in various forms through debt and various such reasons. So it's not something that has gone over, right? 23rd August is also the day in Europe, a European Day of Remembrance for victims of Stalinism and Nazism. Of course, we often pit Hitler as a villain because of the Second World War, but probably an equal villain of humanity was Stalin, who was the leader of the USSR, and millions got killed due to these two people, Hitler and Stalin, and that is something that this day remembers the two as and their victims. Right. Finally, the last slide before I go to the thank you slide. 29th of August is the National Sports Day. It's a birthday of Major Dhyan Chand, or the legendary hockey player from India, won several Olympic gold medals. 30th August is Small Industry Day, a day we celebrate as MSMEs, small industries, which are the backbone, reed ki haddi, desh ki, backbone of the country and the economy. The 4th of August is also International Friendship Day, primarily an American festival, but now also celebrated by others, such as the soft power of the US, as you all know. 13th August, I don't know how many of you watching this session are left handers, but left handers often face a differentiation in society. I remember I used to invigilate exams and all, and there were benches, which is fine, but you would often get these individual seats with a place to put your paper on. So that would be like this, always on the right. So left-handers would actually have to sit on one of the seats and have another seat to their left so that they can write. I remember this, and I used to feel quite embarrassed that at least a few should be like this facing, but that wasn't to be the case. They wouldn't complain 99% times. But the world is very different in sports, because in sports you always need a combo. So in football, if you are left-footed, even if you're right-footed, you're often encouraged to use your left foot. Left-footers don't have to use their right foot because the left foot itself is their asset. Similarly in cricket, left-handed batsmen, uh, they are always so much in demand because of the fact that they are left-handed, right? Some of the great players in history like Brian Lara, Gary Kirsten, Matthew Hayden, Saurav Ganguly, Gary Sobers, Zahir Khan, Wasim Akram. A lot of these players, of course, were left-handed. Right? Sorry, a few more I forgot to mention. 13th August, the same day as International Left-Handers Day, is also the World Organ Donation Day. When we talk about organ donation as an aspect, because so much needed, and now even more so. Plasma donation has been a big thing lately. Mm, I always try to end the month on a happy note, something which pleases everyone, and I think this is something which nobody will complain of. I remember ending one of the classes with something like an International Pet Day, and this is International Dog Day or dog videos. I think dogs are the reason the internet was invented, or at least video sharing. YouTube is so full of dog videos all the time. cat videos as well, but dog videos much more. So I think on a happy note we can end. 26th August is International Dog Day, right? So this was my last session on YouTube before the Durga Puja, which for me is the biggest celebration of the year. So I'll just keep the session open for a couple of minutes in case you have any doubts, any queries. Please feel free to ask. Not much time remaining for the big day. All those who are attempting this year, please do not fail to attempt Unacademy's National Scholarship Test, which is there this Sunday. It is on LRDI this weekend, and immediately after that, you will receive an analysis at 7 p.m. that day itself by one of our top educators, Miss Ria Agarwal. She will do the analysis. Please do not miss this session at any cost. So all of you go for it. There are lots of goodies on hand. The top 10 winners get 5,000 rupees worth of Amazon vouchers. 11 to 30 get worth 3,000, and 31 to 50 get for 2,000. So and not just the money, it's of course preparation for something much bigger, which is cracking these exams. Right, so this is my code AD09. Please make thorough use of it to receive a flat 10% off. Do like, share, subscribe, comment on things. Mm, so as I said, I will keep things open for some time. Uh, do write to me for whatever queries you have regarding this class and otherwise. Right. So I think I can wrap up the session, but do not miss the National Scholarship Test by any means. See you all very soon. Have a wonderful Durga Puja and Dashera. I'm gonna resume classes next week because it's my biggest festival. So next couple of days I'll be on off. Um, so do have a great time. Try to avoid large crowds, and that is something I'm definitely gonna avoid. We're gonna have fun in our own local this thing, but not going to any of the not going to many of these places which have a lot of crowds. So that is something. Do take care. Do everything, but do take care. Ensure that all the you are well masked and you do follow distancing, because obviously health is most important right now. So on that note, have a wonderful festive weekend. Thank you so much, guys. See you all very soon.